Yo, what's up, everyone? Today I want to talk about how Opium and more specifically Playboy Carti went from some of the most influential rappers in the current underground scene and the new generation of rappers to then just collaborating with AI Brain Rot on the front page of Fortnite. But before we get into him, I want to talk about his associates. I will be, for this video, leaving out Apollo Red and Homicide Gang just because I don't listen to them enough. But I want to start with Destroy Lonely. Alright, I don't even know really where to begin with Lone, man. I mean, I know people from, 2020 to 2022, they'd say Lone is the greatest rapper of all time. And they still think that to this day. People still say Prime Lone is the greatest rapper of all time. And it's hard to argue that, listening to it. And I like that his more recent album, was kind of a homage to the fans. He said that in a recent interview. It was kind of like, giving the old fans what they wanted, what they were missing out on the last couple years. And I respect that. He brought back Clayco for a couple beats. I think it was pretty well produced. I think it was an alright album overall. Wasn't like his best stuff, but it was way better than the two albums he released before that. And so I was trying to think, like, what really caused him to do this? What caused him to switch up the music this much and go from this angelic melodical flow to just this kind of these dark beats and this low tone voice? And then it hit me. It had to have been the bag he got from If Looks Could Kill. I mean, if you guys are around for that, man, that went like crazy on TikTok. I think it had like 100. I think it has like 150 million streams on Spotify. It's crazy, right? I think it's still his most streamed to this day. And so I was like, I'm gonna say that. But I was thinking, there's no way I could say that in the video. Like, I don't have any real proof to back that up. Like, I'm not alone, right? I can't say what really made him switch until I saw this.
Looks Could Kill, for me, it was just like, at the time I felt like I was like one of like the most hated people. So it was like, If Looks Could Kill, I kind of like just created this whole entity of like, I want to be evil. But that just like kind of just made this saying a lot more deeper. I made myself a monster and all this shit.
So, I mean, clearly he did switch up for an evil, aesthetic. And you could take my belief, which is I think he just kind of hopped on with Ken and Carti, and just rode that wave. Because, I mean, bro, people on TikTok, like, when they found out about Opium, man, they just ate that shit up. Like, before they, like, not to be corny, but, like, the normal-ish people that weren't listening to them when they didn't have a lot, they finally heard it, they just loved it. They loved the dark, like, evil aesthetic, and they wanted to be just like them. Like, you saw it posted all the time. These people were posting up with, like, all black fits and, with grills in their teeth, But, yeah, they love that aesthetic. And so I think he just kind of bag chased with Carti and Ken. That's my opinion. But, besides that, I think it was time for Lone to change his kind of, swag and aesthetic. I just think he went down the wrong path, like with Ken and Carti, they were going for the evil aesthetic, but at least they were doing a rage. Like, they were getting you hype, they were ready. It sounded like you were ready to go to war when you listen to them sometimes, But Lone, it was just like this low, like over exaggeratedly long beat that he was just singing on. And like, honestly, most of the time when I heard it, I don't know about y'all, but I just felt like he was just kind of mumbling through it. Like, he was just talking through the beat. Like, he wasn't flowing like he used to be. But, I want to end off the Lone section. Like, I want to end off, the Ken section and say, I still have hope in Lone. Like, I still think he could be one of the greatest. And he said in a recent interview that, he was going to collab with some artists that quote unquote sound like him in the underground, or new generation is what he said. But I don't really know who he could be referring to. I mean, my best guess is probably Peasy, I guess. And if he collabed with Peasy, that'd be dope. I'd definitely listen to it. But I'm gonna give his new album Drop Dead Gorgeous a chance, because I didn't give this album Broken Hearts 3, I didn't give it a chance before I started this video. I kind of feel bad because there were some good songs in there. I think mostly I like the songs because they were kind of just going back to the old Lone a little bit, but we'll see. I just think the evil, in his words, the evil era just wasn't it for Lone. And so we'll see. I'll give him another chance with Drop Dead Gorgeous because he said it's something, he said it challenged him. Like, it's something he's never even tried before, which, I don't know. Like, sometimes when people say, something challenged them, it just comes out like shit. But we'll see. Hopefully his is good, because I would love to like Lone again. Like, watching these interviews, he's just like a chill dude that plays video games, you know, other than some allegations he's got. But we'll ignore those because, you know, he's like a open video game nerd and just like, you know, way less egotistical, I think, than like Ken and Carti. And I also want to, you know, give him credit because he shouted out, you know, the underground in his other interview. He said like, you know, that he feels kind of inspired by the new generation, like, you know, that underground rap is, you know, good right now. And so I want to give him that props that like he's kind of giving back to the youth, that he's, you know, kind of older now and a little bit of a veteran in the game. And so he overall seems like a good guy, so I don't want to hate the guy the whole time. And you know, gotta hope for that drop dead gorgeous is gonna be good. But now it's time to talk about Ken. And you know, earlier in the video I said I know people who would die behind the fact that they think Lone is, you know, the greatest rapper of all time in his prime. I think like prime Ken is a top 5 rapper, and in 2023 you couldn't tell me he wasn't, bro. I swear. Like, I thought after AGC he was just the greatest, because I mean, I thought just 3 straight banger albums back to back to back. But you know, I think I'm gonna be like the least harsh on Ken here in this video, because like he didn't really fall off. I think he just kind of got stale, you know. Like it's just, why would I listen to Ken when, like, you know, Psychotic and Rest in Bass are like way more experimental and louder and kind of get you more hype in the rage genre, you know. Like I don't listen to rage all day, you know. I don't think anyone should. I think that's a little too much. But like when I want to listen to rage, when I want to get hype, when I want to get in that mood, like I'm listening to Psychotic, I'm listening to Rest in Bass, because they're louder beats, they're more experimental. Like More Chaos just kind of sounded like a repeat of AGC, and you know, AGC was like 24 songs, 25 songs all said and done, you know, with like the deluxe. And Ken even said that, like, he makes his albums hella long. So we had 25 songs of this like one genre you're in already, which to some people 25 songs is 2 whole albums, but that was just one album. And then you go ahead and drop like a whole nother, I think it was like around 15 or something. Like that's like 40 songs that all are kind of like the same thing. Like if you were to ask me, hey, is Lord of Chaos on AGC or More Chaos, I couldn't tell you. Like it could be on either one, because I don't think there was much of an evolution. And I think one reason for that was what he had to say in this video.
I don't be listening to nothing. I ain't gonna lie. I be listening to myself a lot. I make damn near everything. So
That's like Wayne. Wayne doesn't listen.
And now obviously if you couldn't tell by, you know, like the hairstyle, the look, this was a long time ago. This interview was like 5 years ago. But he also had this to say in a more recent interview from I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I definitely fuck with Pink Panthers, but like it's whatever. Like I said, I make everything, so I'm not like focused on one thing. It's actually easier because like lately I've been working with like 070 Shake West, and like a lot of motherfuckers who like I just see myself working with, and it sounds pretty good. So, but it's not like anybody you would see me like ideally like work with. Like my fans probably wouldn't imagine a song with me and 070 Shake, but it's crazy every day.
And you know, before I say anything, real quick shout out to Pink Panthers. I think she's a great artist, but I think it's pretty obvious that, you know, she's not really influencing Ken's music, right? Like what he's putting out doesn't sound anything like Pink Panthers. So I think that's his main problem, is just like unwillingness to kind of listen to other things and experiment. Because like if you were to go out and listen to a Che, to an Osama Sun, you know, or even Netspen's rage songs, you would hear different things than just what you're hearing. But it's just kind of that thing where you're just hearing the same stuff over and over. He's collabing with the same people over and over, you know, like he said here.
What was your, like, you know, your creative process like going to make a beat with somebody, like collab with them? Do you prefer to like start the loops or the drum, or wait for the drums?
I haven't collabed with like, I haven't really collabed with like just anybody. Like I ain't never collabed with nobody outside of
The homies.
with 88. out of town and start with. It's like I don't feel like I would know how to collab with somebody else because they wouldn't have their shit already set up right.
Okay. So you guys are already in a good system of working with each other. That's the best, man.
And before I get into talking about this, I want to again say that like that clip, like I said earlier, is hella old, 5 years old, right? But I'm pulling up main producers on Google right now. Main producers on More Chaos. It's Filthy, Lil 88, Starboy, and Out of Town. Like, it's still just the same people he just listed. So, you know, I kind of feel like at this point I'm kind of sick of Lil 88, Starboy, and Out of Town's rage beats. Like, they were good, but they're not like 40 songs good and more. You know, and I want to end off this Ken section kind of by talking about the experiment and what I hope it can be, because he did say it's going to be like a whole different genre, right? He's moving on from rage, and a shout out for that. Like, it's a great time to move on, because now everyone's just kind of hopping on the back of no dick rod, kind of what Ken started. Which, you know, side note, I think Ken would get a lot more credit for rage and like a lot more respect in the community, like underground community, especially if he didn't have such a corny fan base. But, you know, that's unintentional. Back to the music though. Like, I just hope the experiment is as good a switch of genres as his was to rage, you know? And I have high expectations for Ken, like higher than Loans, because he's shown he can do it, and he can switch up that swag and that flow, that rapping style, and still have have it be goated. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm also hoping that he collabs with some of the underground, like Lone said in his interview, he's gonna collab with some underground new generation people. I hope the same for Ken, because, you know, I think it would be good both ways. Ken can kind of teach him, you know, the ins and outs of the industry, and they can give some credit back to Ken, because, you know, in my like age range, right, because I just graduated high school, so like from like 17, 18, 19, a lot of them are just saying like Ken's kind of old now. Like his rage beats, they're kind of like, you know, washed up and stale. And so we kind of want him to collab with some of the younger generation. I feel like that would give him a lot of, like, you know, bonus points in our generation. Be like, oh snap, he snapped on that. You know, we'll get a lot more people to listen to Ken again and be like, oh, okay, he's still fire. And now it's time to talk about my personal GOAT, Carti. And look, like with Lone and Ken, it was a little hard. You know, I had to go get my research as to why they fell off. But for Carti, the clip just stumbled upon me. Like, this inspired me to make this whole video, because seeing this just kind of pissed me off. Here, I'll play the clip.
I spoke to Carti about this when I was backstage at the show when he was styling me. I don't want to speak for someone else, but I'll tell you, he was a little bit, and I'm being nice, he was a little bit disappointed. Carti felt he played the game. He said to me directly, he said, Ak, he said, I could have just made an album just for my fans. But they told me, you needed to make songs that were global. Songs were like this. You need to do this. You need to have collabs. He told me, he said, Ak, I went for the guys who get nominated. I brought them in. He drops his album. Playboy Carti doesn't fit the bill. Maybe it's his personality or lack thereof, or maybe it's because he's not an outgoing person. Whatever it might be, maybe it's his sound, maybe it's his look. Who cares? No nominations. I'm not doing.
And I mean, right there, he basically just says my whole point of the video, which I think Carti has just became kind of like slopified. I mean, he's purposely just going for Grammys at this point. Either him or the label, I don't really know. Maybe it's both at the same time. But he said, I got the people on the album, the features like Kendrick Lamar, Travis Scott, you know, the guys that win Grammys. He went out of his way to get those people. And he went out of his way to make quote unquote Grammy winning music. And so I was like, what does he mean I got Grammy winners? You know, other than Travis Scott and Kendrick, who are the Grammy winners? And so I looked up main producers on iMusic. And I want you guys to just look at this real quick. So first we got this guy Cardo Got Wings, who produced songs like Wants and Needs, Goosebumps, Laugh Now, Cry Later. Like just the most mainstream, basic, like radio Walmart music you can imagine. You know, I don't really have a problem with that. If you like that, you know, it's just not my type of thing. And I don't think it was Carti's type of thing. Like, really, I think, you know, Carti was kind of, not to be corny, but like an escape from that type of music. Like, if you were listening to Carti from 2017 to 2018, you were getting hated on, right? And the people in that community, like in the Grammy winning community, the Kendrick Lamar fans, the Travis Scott fans, the Drake fans, maybe not Drake so much, but definitely like the Kendrick Lamar fans for sure, the J. Cole fans, they were like, man, no one likes this Carti, like he's just a mumble rapper, like, you know, this is bad for rap. And like those same people that Carti's trying to push and win Grammys for now are like the same people who, if you were to ask them back in 2018 to just like eliminate one rapper, make sure one rapper could never rap again, a lot of them would say Uzi or Carti, because they just didn't like it. They didn't like the genre, the era they were pushing. And it's just really kind of like, you know, soulless to a degree, I feel like, for Carti to just go from that, like the escape from that, to just becoming it, right? Just full Grammy chasing, bag chasing mainstream artist, because those same people, they didn't fuck with you, Carti. Like they didn't like you at the beginning, and now you're trying to appease them. He even like admits that this isn't what his fans wanted. He says in that act clip, I could have just dropped what my fans wanted. Like nobody who was listening to Carti before I Am Music, which is a lot of his fans, like nobody wanted Carti for that. They wanted Carti to be that unique, different type of flow that he was for so long. And now he's just Kendrick Lamar feature, Travis Scott feature, beats by Cardo Got Wings, who is on Goosebumps. Like it's just, he went into the person that we all were trying to listen to him to escape from, you know? He became the J. Coles, he became the Kendrick Lamars. Like he's not unique and experimental anymore, except for a couple songs on I Am Music. Like I feel like Pop Out and Opium Baby are good attempts at rage songs for sure, but I mean, other than 3 or 4 really good songs, it was just like any Carti song that I played on I Am Music, I feel like I could replace it with any Kendrick song. Like if you were to play Overly, which I kind of like Overly, right? But just the beat alone on Overly, you could play that and ask me, is that a Future song, a Kendrick song, or a Carti song? I couldn't tell you. It could be any of the 3, right? But Carti back in 2020, like it was a thing, right? Where if you heard a beat by Carti, you were like, yeah, nobody else is making something like that. Like that had to have been either Carti or maybe it was Uzi, but like nobody else was making stuff like that. You know, like it was a definitive type of sound, and now it's just like he's everyone else. Like he's everyone else. When I hear him and Future, I'm just like, they're one and the same people. And that's not like a diss to Future, but it's just like that's not who Carti was. Like Carti wasn't trying to be mainstream at first, I feel like, you know, and now he's just completely that. You guys know how I ended off like the Alone and Ken section with hope for the future. Yeah, I can't even do that for Carti, you know, as much as that pains me to say, because he is my GOAT. Like I do think he is the greatest rapper of all time, but it's just like he just dropped a song with some guy named Fat Smack, and like, look, it was just more Grammy slop. Like I saw it on his story, I didn't even listen to the song. And I used to, like back in the day, bro, if he would have dropped a song in 2020, I was staying up all hours of the night for that, right? Like I wasn't going to bed. But he's now just dropping like Grammy slop, and I'm not listening to it. So I mean, yeah, that's my reasoning for why I think Carti has kind of become slop. Like he basically says it for himself, but it's just because he's Grammy chasing, right? And he doesn't really, I don't think he has that creative drive. Not to be like too parasocial, because I'm not Carti, but I mean, from his own words, it seems like he didn't really have a creative direction. Like he just wanted a Grammy. And I think this is what you get when you just put out bag chasing, money chasing, success chasing things. It's like you don't care about your craft anymore. You just want, you know, views or money. And so yeah, that's why he became Goy Cattle Music. But yeah, that's it. I'll see ya.